Long ago, during one of the darkest times in Israel's history, the people of Israel had lost everything. Their city had been destroyed, their temple was in ruins, and many of them had been taken far away from their homeland as prisoners in Babylon. They felt abandoned, hopeless, and forgotten by God. Among the captives was a prophet named Ezekiel. God often spoke to Ezekiel through powerful visions and symbols to deliver messages to his people. One day, God gave him a vision unlike anything he had ever seen before. The Spirit of God carried Ezekiel into a large valley. But this was no ordinary valley. The ground was covered with dry human bones scattered everywhere. The bones were old, broken, and lifeless, lying under the hot sun as if an entire army had died there long ago. As Ezekiel stood in the middle of the valley, God asked him a strange question. "Son of man, can these bones live again?" Ezekiel looked around at the dry bones. From a human point of view, the situation was impossible. These bones were completely dead. There was no life left in them at all. But Ezekiel wisely answered, "Lord God, only you know." Then God told Ezekiel to speak to the bones. It must have sounded strange, speaking to dry bones, but Ezekiel obeyed. He lifted his voice and said, "Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. God says he will put breath into you, and you will live again." Suddenly, a rattling sound echoed across the valley. The bones began to shake and move. One bone slid across the ground toward another. Skeletons slowly formed all around Ezekiel. Then muscles appeared. Flesh covered the bones, and skin wrapped around their bodies. But even after all that, the bodies still lay motionless on the ground. They looked alive, but there was still no breath in them. Then God spoke again. "Prophesy to the breath. Call for the winds to breathe life into these bodies." So Ezekiel obeyed once more. As he spoke, breath entered the bodies. Their chests began to rise. Their eyes opened. One after another, they stood up on their feet until the valley was filled with a massive living army. What Ezekiel witnessed was more than just a miracle. It was a message from God. God explained that the dry bones represented the people of Israel. They had lost hope and believed their future was finished. They felt spiritually dead, broken, and forgotten. But God wanted them to understand something powerful: no situation is too hopeless for him. Even when life feels empty, even when dreams seem dead, and even when people believe there is no future left, God still has the power to restore, rebuild, and bring life again. The vision of the dry bones became a symbol of hope. God promised to restore his people, bring them back to their land, and renew their hearts and spirits. And that message still speaks to people today. Sometimes people go through seasons where they feel like dry bones themselves, tired, discouraged, broken by failure, loss, disappointment, or fear. There are moments when hope feels impossible. But the story of Ezekiel reminds us that God specializes in bringing life to dead situations. He can restore families, renew faith, heal broken hearts, and create new beginnings where people only see endings. What looked like a graveyard became a place of resurrection. What looked dead became alive again. And what seemed impossible became possible through the power of God. That is why the vision of Ezekiel and the dry bones remains one of the most powerful stories of hope in the entire Bible.